In this video, we're going to look at how to prevent knee pain from running. Things we'll cover are warm-ups, why they're important, how they can prevent injuries, and also I'll give you an example of a program that works for easy runs. Then I'm going to discuss training errors because those commonly can cause knee pain in runners. And lastly, we'll look at how strength training can prevent knee pain. And there's a free program that you can download and use. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Maryke. I'm one of the physiotherapists from sportsinjuryphysio.com, where you can get online physiotherapy assessment as well as treatment for your injuries. Have a look at the description of this video if you want a link to our website. Warm-ups for runners are a little bit of a controversial issue because, let's face it, if you're a runner, myself included, your warm-up for your easy runs is just to jog really slowly at the start and then speed up a little bit. And yep, done that, been there, no problem most of the time. But you know what? If you're getting knee pain when you're running or after you run, I want to make a case for you to consider doing a warm-up before you go out, even before your easy runs. And I'll explain to you why this can help. Now, the most common thing that we think about that a warm-up does is that it wakes up the muscles and it gets them nice and warm. Yep, it does that. So they can contract better and there's more blood supply to them and they're a little bit more pliable. Second thing that happens is it warms up the joints and gets your range of motion going, that you've got your full range of motion that you can work through. So your hips can move as far back as they have to, and that can just help your whole kinetic chain of your body move in an optimal fashion. But then thirdly also, it actually stimulates the nervous system and gets it firing at optimal levels. So the body is brilliant. Whenever we don't use a part of it at the moment, the brain just goes, well, we're going to down-regulate the activity there because we want to save a bit of energy and rather send it to the other part that's doing the work at the moment. So to give you an example, if you're going to sit for hours on end and not really move, when you get up, everything feels really stiff because your joints have stiffened up. Also, some of the muscles that have been low-level contracting, like your hip flexors, can feel quite tight and not quite willing to let go easily, so your hip can't extend that far. But also, you've sat in your bottom and your hamstrings, so they may not be fully alert at that point. Now, for most people, this is not an issue and they will wake up quite quickly. But if you're finding that I'm getting aches and pains when I go running and my habits that I do before I go out for a run may mean that my nervous system is not firing as properly as it should, a simple warm-up can help. Good news is, it really doesn't take a lot to wake things up and just get your range of motion back. So my favorite warm-up that I do before I go out for a run consists of 10 free squats. So you're just going up and down in your comfortable range 10 times. You don't have to think about how you're doing too much. You just do it with nice slow level that you get good control. Then I follow that up with some isometric bridges so that I can really squeeze my bottom and get my glutes firing. And then just to get them properly firing, I'll do about 2 sets of 5 single leg bridges on each leg because I find that really gets them going then. I have to also say these exercises are set for my level of strength. If you're not as strong as I am, you may just continue doing double leg bridges. They can do the trick just as well. So then I follow it up with another set of free squats, and then I'll do some lunges where I just dip into the lunge. So I'm not lunging in out. I just stand in a lunge position and just dip up and down a few times. Spend a few seconds at the bottom of it, 2, 3, not too long. What these do is they open my hips for me. So it's a nice active stretch to get my hip flexors to lengthen and realize that, your leg can go back other than you just sitting the whole day. And then I usually end that with just doing some calf dips or calf pumps to get them activated. You can do them over the side of a step, or you can just push against the wall and just go up, down with your feet. But we're not hanging for ages at the bottom of the step because we're not looking to stretch them. We're just looking for them to lengthen a bit, but also get activated while you're doing it. And then you're ready for an easy run. Now, this warm-up will not be enough if you want to do a fast session that requires forceful contractions. Your warm-up has to fit with the type of running you're going to do. So if you're doing that type of running, you also have to follow this up with more energetic warm-ups and doing some plyometrics and heavier things. But what you do there will depend on your specific case. In my experience, one of the most common causes for runners to experience knee pain is due to training errors. Now, a training error can be either that you ramp up your training too quickly, or you don't allow yourself enough recovery time between sessions, or actually it's just that you're doing too many high intensity sessions in a week. Now, to understand why this can cause knee pain, let me first explain to you what happens to your knees and to the rest of your body when you're doing exercise like running. So with any exercise we do, the body sustains a bit of micro damage. Now, micro damage sounds quite hectic, but to be honest, it's normal. It happens with everybody, and it is the way that our bodies grow stronger over time. So what happens is you do a bout of exercise, then you need a period of recovery afterwards where you rest and you don't do such intense work with your body. And the body then uses that period to repair what you've done, and it repairs you stronger than before, because all of this has now signaled to the body that you're not as strong as you want to be. And that's how you eventually grow stronger. But if you train hard again or train too quickly again before you've gone through the full repair cycle, the micro damage can accumulate, and that can cause overuse injuries, like Achilles tendinopathy, for instance. Now, it can be a bit tricky to get your recovery right, because what you've got to look at is not just our day-to-day recovery. You've also got to look at recovery on a longer basis. So for instance, if we think of a training week, you'll have high-low days. So for runners, that will be fast running sessions or hill running sessions. Anything that really gets you out of breath is a high-low day. Now, high-low days causes more strain on the body. So you usually require more time after a training session to recover from those. Usually, high intensity training sessions takes about 48 hours to fully recover from. Low intensity training sessions, so where your heart rate doesn't go really hard or high and you're able to hold a full conversation while you're running, you only need about 24 hours usually to recover from those. This time varies depending on your own fitness level as well. So this is just a rough guide. But then if we look at training weeks, so often runners will try to improve the times they do or the number of repetitions they do of runs week on week. So then every week, the full training load is actually a bit higher for the body. So that full load becomes more. Now, what we see is that you can get cumulative overload, where there's only a tiny bit of recovery you're not getting, but that accumulates. What they've now found is that it can work really well to have a deload week every third or fourth week, where you train hard and you increase your intensity for 2 or 3 weeks, and then that deload week, you bring it all back down. You don't rest completely, you just bring your volume down or your intensity down, or both of them. And what that does is it allows the body to catch up, that it doesn't end up getting these overuse injuries. There's strong evidence to suggest that this works in strength training, and that's where the original research was done. And there's more and more evidence coming out that it can also be useful, especially in endurance running and fast running sessions. So that's something to look at. If your knees are hurting after your runs and you've been running for a while, just look at, have I been trying to increase my running volume too quickly? Usually a 10 to 15% increase week on week is okay. Second, am I doing too many high intensity sessions too close together? So if you're really fit, you can usually get away with 2 high intensity training sessions for running. If you're not that fit and you're new to it, it's safer to stick with 1 per week. But again, it will depend on your whole volume of things you're doing in a week. And then lastly, also, are you allowing enough recovery days even between your low intensity sessions? So again, if you're new to running, usually if you're going to try and run every single day, you're going to end up in trouble. If you're an elite athlete elite athletes also have superior recovery ability usually through genetics, but they also have loads and loads of years of training, so their body is better at recovering. They can usually train every day, but that's the difference. So have a look at your training schedule and just check if there's anything there that you need to be changing to get rid of your knee pain. How does things like strength training prevent knee pain in runners? There are a few ways. The first is the stronger your muscles are, the more they can absorb the forces when you run, so there's less force actually going through your knee joint. Second is strength training exercises help to improve your control and your coordination, so you're getting better movements and quality of movement as you're running. And then lastly, they've also actually been shown to improve your range of motion, so you're getting a better range of motion as you're running. So strength training for knees are a brilliant way. If your knees are having a bit of a grumble, it's a brilliant way to help offload them. So it's important to not just look at the muscles that surround the knee, so the quads and the hamstrings and the calves, but also further away, because your core muscles and the stability around your hips can impact your knees. For instance, there's some research that suggests if you've got weak gluteal muscles, it can allow your knee to turn in too much, and that can lead to things like medial collateral ligament sprains, meniscus injuries, and even IT band syndrome, runner's knee. There's lots of injuries that's been linked to that. So it's important to look at the full body when you look at strength training. Brilliant. Let me know if you've got any questions. And remember, if you need more help with an injury, you're welcome to consult one of the team at Sports Injury Physio. The link to the website is also in the description of this video. Take care.